In the heart of the Indo-Pacific, tensions are rising. As China intensifies pressure on Taiwan, the United States is moving fast, urging its key allies Australia and Japan to prepare for a future war with China. Behind closed doors, Washington is urging its allies to prepare, not just politically or diplomatically, but militarily, for a future war with China. But how far are Australia and Japan really willing to go? And is the US pressuring them into something that they may regret? At the center of this push is Elbridge Colby, former US defense official and architect of America's defense strategy on China. He argues that deterrence only works if allies are clear and prepared. This is about deterrence through strength. The US wants more than vague promises. It wants Australia and Japan to say, "We will fight if Taiwan is attacked." The US wants firm, on-the-record commitments from allies like Australia and Japan. Not just moral support, but real war-fighting contributions, troops, bases, logistics, ships, missiles. In their view, this is how you deter Beijing, by showing that an attack on Taiwan means war with a united front. But Canberra is pushing back. Australia's government has refused to make any pre-commitments. Defense Industry Minister Pat Conroy recently said any decision to go to war will be made by the Australian government at the time, not in advance. China is Australia's largest trading partner. Billions flow through that relationship every month, from iron ore and coal to wine and education. Committing to a Taiwan war now could unravel that economic lifeline. Through AUKUS, Australia is acquiring nuclear-powered submarines. It's deepening military cooperation with the US and Britain. It's hosting large-scale war games that look increasingly like rehearsals for island combat. Yes, Australia is stepping up, but behind the scenes. And that's a worry. After all, China is still economically important to Australia. Japan, meanwhile, has its own complex story. Since World War II, Japan's constitution has banned offensive warfare. It can defend itself, but it cannot legally engage in foreign wars unless it's under direct attack. This puts Tokyo in a legal bind. Can Japan really promise to join a war over Taiwan? But geography changes everything. Japan's southern islands sit just 100 kilometers from Taiwan. If war breaks out, those islands and the US bases on them will likely be early targets. Japan is responding. It has doubled defense spending, built new military facilities near Taiwan, and purchased long-range US missiles. It's quietly hardening infrastructure, bomb shelters, radar systems, and fuel depots. It's even rewriting defense strategy documents to treat a Taiwan contingency as a threat to Japan's survival, the legal language needed to allow joint military action. Still, Tokyo stops short of firm commitments. Officials describe US pressure as hypothetical and say Japan will decide its actions case by case. So what does Washington actually want? Military planners want clarity. They want to know who's with them in the early hours of a Taiwan invasion. They need to plan basing, logistics, ammunition, intelligence sharing. This isn't just talk. The US is building a real strategy, one that includes joint logistics, island hopping drills, and weapons sharing. Analysts warn that the next 2 years may be the most dangerous, what they call the Davidson window, when China could move on Taiwan while it still has the military edge. But not everyone is on board. In Australia, some lawmakers are calling the US demands unreasonable. They want more transparency on AUKUS and less pressure to lock into war. China, meanwhile, sees these movements as encirclement. More drills, more jets, more threats. Each side is preparing for the worst, hoping it never comes. To Washington, unity deters war. To Beijing, that same unity looks like a coalition of aggression. For allies like Australia and Japan, it's a dangerous balancing act between peace and preparedness, autonomy and alliance. And here's the hard truth. If war does break out over Taiwan, there may not be time for debate or delay. The choices being made now, quietly, incrementally, could determine who fights, who bleeds, and who wins. So where does this all lead? The US wants a committed coalition. Japan and Australia want to stay flexible, and China is watching closely. Will the allies clarify their role or keep playing it vague? Can deterrence work without provocation? And most importantly, will diplomacy win or will war decide Taiwan's fate? One thing is clear, what happens in Taiwan won't just affect the island, it could reshape the entire Indo-Pacific and the future of global power. Thanks for watching.